Okay, welcome everybody to the Village of Tuckahoe Forum for the Village Trustees. In alphabetical order, we have Sarah Derise. I'm sure I didn't, Derise, Giaccione, Giaccione, and Joseph Scooter Scott. Okay, we picked lots to get the order of the speakers. Each candidate has 2 minutes to make an opening statement. During the question period, each candidate will have 1.5 minutes to respond to each question. If the candidate would like, each one gets 2 30-second rebuttals. The rebuttals are only to be used during the question period. Candidates can read an pre-written opening statement and a pre-written closing statement, but they can also take notes during the forum. We had questions submitted by the public prior to the event. They were reviewed, edited, and consolidated by the league. We're not taking any questions from the audience today. The moderator had a right to rule on all the questions. All questions must be answerable by all candidates. Each candidate has the opportunity to answer each question. The candidates may not interrupt each other or make any personal attacks. After the question period, there'll be closing statements, and they go in the opposite order of the opening statements. We have 2 timekeepers here, Justin and Rebecca, local students, and they're going to hold up a 30-second sign. Justin, you want to show them the 30-second sign, or Rebecca? 30, and then a stop sign. Okay. This is being recorded on Zoom, and it will be on some of the local channels. I'll give those to you at the end. But there's no recording in this room. Okay, so no video recording in this room. Yeah, and please, do I have that here? Oh yeah. Turn off all your cell phones. I always like to check mine first. No, I'm good. My mom over here, she's telling me what to do. Okay. So, are we ready? Sarah, you have the opening statement. And speak directly into the microphone as best you can. Pull it close.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for coming out this evening. My name is Sarah Derise, and I am hoping to earn your trust as the next village trustee in Tuckahoe. I moved to Tuckahoe in 2016 with my then 2 children, which has since grown to 4. And like many families here, I fell in love with this village because of its people, its energy, and its sense of belonging offered to those who are here. My journey into public service began as president of the Waverly PTA. And I heard parents' concerns about the safety of the Marbledale Road hotel development. That advocacy led me to my first run for trustee in 2017. I believed our community's voice needed to be heard, and although that run wasn't successful, it didn't stop me from showing up for the village, for speaking up for the people that live here, and for giving back to my community ever since. For the last 9 years, I've remained deeply involved with the village, helping with village events like the Candy Crawl and the movie night, launching the village tag sale, and organizing fundraisers for both the library renovation and continuing my company's 16-year tradition of supporting the Tuckahoe senior citizens. Our nonprofit, the Keller Williams Icon Foundation, has been a longtime supporter of the seniors, and as vice president, I have continued that tradition. This year, we'll be donating over $10,000 to the seniors for their programming. Most recently, I've also been serving as the president of the Friends of the Tuckahoe Library, working to revive the fundraising efforts that keep our library thriving. I've never needed a title to serve, I've just needed a reason, and that reason has always been our community. Tuckahoe is more than where I live. It's where I'm raising my family, where I'm growing my business, and building my own community. And every event and every fundraiser, every small step forward that we take has reminded me that when we can work together, we can all rise together. I'm ready to continue that work as your trustee, to be the same engaged, accessible neighbor that you already know, but now with a seat at the table to represent you, because the best way to shape our future is to do it together.
Thank you very much. Scooter?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Joseph H. Scott III, but everyone calls me Scooter. My thanks go to the League of Women Voters for moderating this event, to my opponents for for agreeing to debate, to the people of the village for your time and interest, and to my wife and children for their unwavering support. Running for office is an honor I don't take lightly. I've made my living for over 28 years as a member of the International Alliance of Theater and Stage Employees, Local Number 1. I bring my traditional values of faith, family, and community service to this election, and I want our local government to respect all our residents, to guard and facilitate and improve our quality of life, create a healthy business environment, keep Tuckahoe affordable, and keep all of us safe. I have years of community service in and out of our village, and I bring decades of experience in problem solving, system analysis, and team building. I have managed national concert tours and currently manage logistics at the Newport Folk and Jazz Festivals. I believe my skill set is unique, and it qualifies me to bring a new focus and attention to our board and the realities that Tuckahoe is facing today. And our village is special, and I want to see the things that have made it so continue. There is a sense of community and pride in the details of our village. We have peace and quiet. We rub elbows with our neighbors, and we pitch in to help in times of need. Preserving something like this requires an appreciation and understanding of what created it, a love of our history, and, as said by Tevye in Fiddler on the Roof, a love of tradition. I'm running to give voice to proven principles and time-honored values to help our village manifest its best qualities and not just survive, but thrive now and in the years to come. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Josh?
Thank you. Thank you to everyone here and online. It is a great time of year. A few things that I look forward to every fall are pumpkin beverages of all types, football in full swing, and finding out just which office Scooter Scott is going to run for. In fact, if it wasn't for election season, we might never see our opponent in the village. I cannot think of one meaningful way in which he contributes to our village, and to the best of my knowledge, never really has. I've had the honor of serving as a trustee for the last 3 years, and I haven't seen him around. I haven't seen him attempt to join a village committee. I haven't seen him give any input at the annual village budget meetings, and I didn't see him at any of the comprehensive plan meetings. In fact, unless the event is within 30 days of the election, I don't see him at all. But tonight, you will hear him talk about the budget, comprehensive plans, and other issues. On the other hand, there are those of us who put our time in here at Village Hall, in the community, those of us who are elected, such as myself, and those of who hopefully will be elected, like my running mate, Sarah Derise. Most of you know me as an Army veteran who served in both Afghanistan and Iraq, a former paratrooper who was crazy enough to jump out of perfectly good airplanes. That experience cemented my commitment to selfless service, a commitment I carry into everything I do. Whether it was serving as a catechist at ICS, or serving and working with the numerous civic and social organizations throughout the village, I have always put the needs of our community on the forefront, and I look forward to talking more about that here tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. So I'm going to read something from our opening instructions. Candidates may not interrupt each other or make personal attacks. Scooter, I'm giving you 30 seconds to rebut those statements.
Was there a personal attack made?
Yes.
Oh.
And I'll start with a lack of awareness has been characteristic of Trustee Giaccione's tenure on the board. Anyway, I have done things that people don't see. I don't go out and contribute to the community for accolades or to be recognized. There are things that I have done, such as the Snow Angels and other events. I done prison ministry. I play bass in my church. It's really beneath you to come out swinging like that, Josh. And I had more respect for you up until now.
Was that 30 seconds? Okay, thank you. Okay, now we're going to start with the questions. And the first question is to Scooter. So really, please don't attack each other. Just talk about the, issues that we have to deal with in this village. Okay, I would appreciate that. So here's the first question. It goes to you, Scooter. What qualifications do you have and what experience do you bring to the position of village trustee?
So as I said, I specialize in system analysis. I'm an audio engineer and a stagehand. I problem solve for a living. When looking at the things that it takes to run this village, a problem-solving mindset is essential because every day there are budget problems, there are technical problems, there's drainage problems. We have a myriad of challenges that have gone unaddressed for years, such as drainage, that we have had money coming in to address, but haven't spent it. We've spent it on things like charging stations. We have done good things like putting beehives on hotels. But by and large, the problems that have been the largest and most consequential have been the ones that are sat by the wayside in favor of things like planning committees for $150,000. Things that don't really improve the quality of life, but cast a vision to make us feel good about what it could be without taking into account all of the things that it takes to sustain and undergird those kinds of growths, like school system, like the downstream costs of all of this development.
Okay, thank you. Josh, you have that same question.
Could you repeat the question, please?
Sure. What qualifications do you have and what experience do you bring to the position of village trustee?
Thank you. I've served as a village trustee for the last 3 years, and I've had the opportunity to work alongside some of the best in the business, specifically our mayor, who is departing, Mayor Andino, and our deputy mayor, Kara Cronin. I've also been able to work with a lot of our elected officials within the county, the state, and federally. So we're really able to create those partnerships that we need, especially in a small village like Tuckahoe. Because unfortunately, Tuckahoe, as wonderful as we are, we do not exist in a vacuum. And we need every hand to pitch in to make our village as successful as it is and as it has been. We have worked with a lot of our community partners, and we continue to build community partners. And that is something I do, whether it's in my 9-to-5 job as the Director of Veteran Services for Westchester County or in my everyday life. So this is just something I bring to the table every day. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Sarah?
Sorry, forgot about the button. First and foremost, I've been involved. I've been fundraising for the library and for our seniors. I've been running community events, and I've been filling needs when called upon to do so. If nothing else, I am incredibly resourceful at getting things done. Professionally, I have an MBA from Pace University and a career in real estate, which gives me an inside knowledge in housing and development, as well as what people are looking for when they're trying to move to a new place. Much like Mr. Scott, I am a problem solver for my job. That is what I do. I'm a project manager, and I make sure something gets from contract to close. That is the entire remit of a real estate agent. So I am the person that can do that very well. But most importantly, and above all, I truly care about this village. I care about the people in it, and I want to continue the work that the administration has been doing to improve the quality of life here in Tuckahoe and keep it a wonderful place to live.
Okay, thank you. This question is going to start with you, Josh. How will you balance the budget? Are there programs that you would cut and others you would fund more?
Yeah, balancing the budget's never an easy job, but is the primary job when you are elected into this position. Before I won my first election, I was actually appointed by Mayor Andino when Dr. Howell stepped off the board, and I was thrown right to the fire. I came in right during budget season. So it was trial by fire my first time around. And I can tell you that it is never easy. Budget is tough. But one of the great things about the budget is we have really good people on staff here that help work that out, whether it's our treasurer or our village administrator. And we also have open forums for the budget, several of them throughout the process. So it's not as easy as adding, chopping, cutting, right? You really have to analyze what's important. What are the villagers saying? What are your neighbors saying? What's important to keep the village running? We need to keep the DPW running. We need to keep our police officers staffed and trained. These are the things that are important. And this is what goes into building a budget. It's a team effort. There's never just one person that dictates the budget or dictates programs that can be cut or added. But again, this is another time where we work a lot with our community partners and our partners in government to bring in as much extra money as we can through grants and other means. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Sarah?
I've looked at the budget, and I can first off say that the current administration has done an absolutely incredible job at increasing services to the people of our village, making sure that things are taken care of, while costs that they have no control over, like healthcare and pensions, have absolutely soared over the last couple of years. It's a small miracle that we're not all paying thousands more in taxes right now, honestly. But as to what Josh was saying, as far as cutting programs and adding programs, it's a matter of public input. Is there something that the public needs, that someone is asking for, that we need to consider adding to the budget? And that is on a year-by-year basis. So it depends on the input and the engagement of the community on how we add to that budget. Most of the budget is not necessarily things that the board has a lot of control over. And that's something that we all have to remember when you're looking at healthcare costs, pension costs, the cost of having police, the cost of the staff here that keeps this village running, that really is the backbone of all the things that we do. Those aren't really in our control. So there's very little that we can do. And it's always focused on bettering the quality of life for the people that live here.
Okay, thank you. Scooter?
Thank you for this. Contract negotiations, budgets, that's something I handle at Carnegie Hall, which is where I work as shop steward. One of the things that is a constant is our contracts. And I see areas where sitting down with all of our service departments, DPW, police, negotiating these kinds of contracts, these are things I've been doing for years now. Those are areas where we can create a long-term beneficial relationship in the finances for both the village and the service departments. But also, as I look at the budget, I see that we have declining revenues. We've received a lot of one-time grants that are no longer appearing. State aid is down by around 60%, depending on which analysis you look at. Some are higher, some are lower. We have not increased our tax revenue anywhere except through real estate taxes, which makes Tuckahoe less affordable. And that gets down to really the brass tacks of it. Every year, our budget is increasing, and it's increasing on the backs of the residents. Parking meters, all kinds of nickel and dime, penny ante type fees that diminish the quality of life and make the village more expensive, especially property taxes, which translate to higher rents, higher mortgages, all of that.
Okay, thank you very much.
May I use the rebut?
Yeah.
Thank you. I think one of the things that needs to be taken into account is that over $1.5 million has been raised over the last 2 years from the parking meters. I admit that when the board voted on the parking meters, I voted against it. I lost 4-1, and I was wrong, because the increased revenue that we have received from the meters is on the backs of everybody that comes and visits Tuckahoe. It's just not on the backs of the residents. So if you want to come and enjoy our fantastic village, and we've had, 25 or so businesses in the last few years that have opened here, you're going to have to pay to come, and that's okay. It's better than having to raise property taxes. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. You have 30 seconds also.
So that's a fair point, but the other side of that coin is the fact that, having walked around and asked the businesses that are downtown if they took a hit once those parking meter fees went up, they did. So yes, you have people coming in, but you have fewer people coming in, fewer people spent, less time being spent, less money being spent in these businesses. Now, this is not a scientific poll, but this is the feedback that I've gotten from walking up and down and asking the business owners, has it affected them? And they have all said, not one has said that it hasn't.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so this is gonna stay with the same theme of finance, and this is gonna start with you, Sarah. Please share revenue generating ideas that you have for the municipality.
There's a lot of ways that we can go about trying to find more creative avenues for generating revenue within the village. Mr. Scott referred to one-time grants. Those one-time grants were for one-time projects, and they were things that we didn't then have to put on the back of our residents. Things like the catch basins production machine that the DPW has, the renovation of the library, renovations at City Hall, redoing the sidewalks. Those weren't ongoing projects. They were one-time projects that we didn't have to then dip into our funds to do. So it's super important to look into that money. And the other really important thing is to have a really good relationship with the people in the levels of government above us, making sure that Tuckahoe is getting their fair share of what's available from the county and from the state, and even on a national level. There's also been a lot, I know a lot of people have found a lot of filming going on that really does bring in quite a lot of revenue. And we're actively recruiting and working with those companies that bring that revenue into our world. And we are hoping that more can come now that they know that we are easy to work with and a great place to come.
Okay, thank you. Scooter?
I would add to Sarah's point about making sure we get our fair share of state money, because despite the narrative about declining sales taxes, we're actually quite flush with sales tax money in the state. We're all getting refund checks from the state. That indicates money available for us to go and negotiate with the state to get, which is one of the things I would like to do. We need advocacy in Albany that brings the money and the resources that are due this village. The other thing we can do is, of course, create a business environment that allows our businesses to stay. We have had too many revolving doors, too many businesses opening, and then within a few years closing, moving. And that kind of business environment makes people shy about coming here in the first place and diminishes our tax base. I mean, you can walk up and down Main Street. You can walk around and see too many vacancies. There are restaurants that open and close, but that's part of the restaurant business. What we really need to do is develop a kind of tax code and partnership from the village that allows businesses to open with lower costs and to receive the kind of exposure that will bring customers in. And that goes back to maybe cheaper parking.
Okay, thank you. Josh?
Thank you. So just touch on a couple of points that Scooter raised here. Sales tax is issued by population. There's nothing that we can do about that here in Tuckahoe. We can't charge you extra sales tax on something that you're buying. And in addition, the Chamber of Commerce is very active working with our local businesses. So what we do is we work with them quite significantly to make sure that new and fledgling businesses are really getting the props that they deserve, whether it's hosting a bingo night at their location or really, I think this Saturday I did a cigar and coffee shindig the other day, which was a good time. So, we're always doing different things with the Chamber of Commerce. And I would have to disagree when we say that businesses are shy about coming to Tuckahoe. Like I said, over the last 3 to 4 years, there's no fewer than 25 businesses have opened in Tuckahoe. Going back to the question specifically, we're already on a bare bone budget. Over 80% of our budget goes to personnel. And of course, that's our police and our DPW. So generating more revenue really comes back to what we've been doing in the past and just doing that a little bit better. Thanks.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, this next question is going to start with you, Scooter. The village just completed a comprehensive planning process. What elements of that plan would be your main priorities?
To be honest, very few. I think we spent $150,000 to learn things we already knew. And most importantly, I don't like the process with which that study, that plan was developed. They use something called a SOAR analysis, which basically focuses just on the positive aspects of development versus something that's used commonly in businesses known as a SWOT analysis, which looks at strengths, weaknesses, and all of the challenges that can affect the business negatively. So in this planning session, we never looked at things like, can the village infrastructure sustain the kinds of development that are proposed? We have a drainage issue. All of the development basically proposes opening the top of the funnel, but we have not done anything to open the bottom. If we develop and I'm for possibly looking at mixed-use development of Marbledale Road, but after we have fixed the leaks in our boat. You don't set off on a voyage across the ocean with a leaky boat. You fix the leaks first. And this plan builds on top of an infrastructure that cannot support what it proposes.
Okay, thank you, Josh.
I think Scooter's just a little misinformed on how the process went for this, because there were SWOT analyses done on every step of the way throughout the comprehensive plan process. And the one thing I have to say about the comprehensive plan is when you have a toothache, you go to a dentist, somebody who's accredited, somebody who's, you trust, right? You don't go to a back alley to a truck and get your tooth yanked. And that's what we did here with the comprehensive plan. We invested some money into the village to bring money back to the village. We had community input, and nothing as of right now is being put into place. We're still analyzing what we're going to do, where we're going to go with it, and take the community input into account while we're doing that. But at the end of the day, we're going to do what's best for Tuckahoe. The drainage issues with Tuckahoe are not anything new. These are things that we're aware of. And as far as building and compounding infrastructure in smaller places, there are really smart people that are involved in this, and we're not going to do anything that's going to continue to stress our older and aging infrastructure.
Okay, thank you. Sarah?
As far as the comprehensive plan overall, I think there are a lot of misunderstandings about what it is and what it means. And if you're looking at it from a perspective of guidance, which is really what it is for the village, any business has a plan to guide them forward. And the comprehensive plan is the business plan for the village of Tuckahoe. It is when something crosses the desk of the board or from the zoning board or any other piece of administration, does this make sense for our plan or doesn't? And that's how we make the decision. If we don't have something, a working document to guide us on what our goals are, how can we then make decisions about things that come across us? So that's really what the comprehensive plan is. And it did brought in every level of business and resident, and from the young people to the old people to every business owner had the ability to put input on this. And I was at those forums, and there were some great ideas and some not great ideas, but we took them all, they took them all into consideration to see how we can move the village forward. That's what the comprehensive plan is about, whether it's the development of Marbledale or middle income housing or Depot Square or revamping the community center. All of those things are involved in that and will help bring our village and move it forward.
Okay, thank you. This next question is going to start with you, Josh. I got this question at about 3:45 today when I was looking at these questions. There are a fair amount of existing illegal apartments throughout the village, both in structures that are zoned one family and more so in dwellings that are zoned for two-family dwellings. What is your plan for enforcing the building code in relation to illegal apartments?
So these are things that we're aware of and we become more aware of. And when these come to our attention, this is when we send our building inspector to check on those areas. Recently, we passed legislation that would really prohibit the amount of Airbnbs that are able to be in the village. So what we think from that is that's going to restrict some of those illegal apartments, but we are always on the lookout for this. This is not, again, this is nothing new, and Tuckahoe is not the only place where this happens, unfortunately. Times are tough. Housing is expensive. You know, we get that, we understand that, and we are not trying to drive the screws to anybody. That's not what we want. But at the same time, people have to live in a safe and regulated environment. And that's what we're going to do here in the village. We're going to make sure that everything's up to code and everybody's safe, and that we move forward in a way that is both safe and productive, and also allows for a good quality of life, whether that's for the renter or the rentee.
Okay, thank you. Sarah?
It's a hot button issue all over on a lot of this stuff. You know, it's enforcing these kinds of codes. We really have to rely on the residents to help us with that, because the building inspector can't be everywhere all at once. So if someone, it's sort of a see something, say something situation. We can, if you're seeing something that, you know, is really not safe, we want to make sure that people are taken care of. So we have to get people involved to report these things to us. As we've been walking around, one of the things that I've noticed was half the doors don't have numbers or letters on them. Which apartment are you? What if you have to call the fire department and they can't find you? That's a big deal to me. So if we're seeing that just walking around trying to talk to people in the village, I'm sure other people, you know, have noticed it as well. But it's up to the village and the residents to help us work through that situation.
Okay, thank you. Scooter?
Well, I think it starts with partnering with our landlords and sitting down and having a conversation with them so that we don't alienate or make enemies out of people who are, as Josh pointed out, trying to make a living. Times are hard. My rent has gone up. I've had to work longer hours, and I think that I can speak for all of us in the village. I'm a laborer. I work 60 to 80 hours a week. And when we make things more expensive in the village, that means we have to work even more. So we start with partnering with our landlords. The second thing we need to do, because I noticed that the building inspector has in the budget, the budget line for the building inspector has gone through the roof. So I would imagine there are a lot of inspections going on. I don't know the process he's using, but again, it would have to extend from that position of partnering with the landlords so that we create a change of heart. And at the same time, we need to bring down costs so that maybe the landlords aren't scraping pennies and nickels together to get by, because heating costs have gone up. And that's something that we need to address. I mean, I know the village loves to tout sustainable Westchester, but it's more expensive. We need to look at all of the areas that are affecting the landlords so they can bring their costs down, so their profit margins go up, so they're not inclined to do that.
Okay, thank you. This is a related question. Would you support and this starts with you, Sarah, would you support the development of additional multi-story residential units within the village?
Absolutely. I think that's one of the ways that we can solve some of the housing issues here. I do know that the administration recently did pass a law about having 10% of any new housing development needs to be affordable housing. But affordable housing isn't necessarily our issue here in Tuckahoe. We're actually really lucky to have a wonderful housing authority that does provide a lot of affordable housing units. The bigger question and the bigger goal is, can that development be middle income housing where we can get people away from renters to becoming homeowners? that should be our goal, is getting people in that path.
Okay, thank you. Scooter?
The problem, again, with increasing the amount of housing is the supporting infrastructure, from plumbing to electricity to drainage to the school system. If we increase the size of our school classes, that will trigger a requirement for teachers' aid, which will then require an even bigger school budget. So I think the first thing we need to do is maximize what we have. In going back to that partnership with the landlords where we have illegal apartments, maybe we sit down and we come up with ways to maybe move them away from renting, selling, incentivize that kind of thing, so that if we want to increase home ownership, we do it that way. But the other thing is to just get on top of the apartments that are not what they should be, find areas where, if we're shifting numbers, say from areas that are zoned for single families into multifamilies, look at that. But again, the village is bursting at the seams when it comes to its infrastructure. We need to sit down and look at all of the ways that we can bring it up to speed. As Josh said, it's ancient infrastructure. You don't build on top of ancient things. You fix them first. You modernize them. That's what we need to do first. Then we can talk about it.
Okay, thank you. Josh?
Thank you. Just a comment on the last thing that was said here. I know specifically over the last 5 years, between our roads being paved and our sewer lines being replaced, we have done quite a bit of work as a village to begin to repair our infrastructure. We're in the infant steps of this, we're baby stepping it, but we're getting there. You know, next on the list, we got things like Depot Square, we got more lights that need to be done, but we are getting there. In principle, I would agree with more housing. I chose Tuckahoe. I wasn't born here in Tuckahoe. I love Tuckahoe, like I think we all do up here. And I want more people to be able to experience what I experience. However, I would really have to see the specifics into any type of a housing unit that was being built. It would bring us more revenue. So to bring it back to some of the questions from before, it would bring us more tax revenue. But again, we'd have to see what that's going to do to our infrastructure and if that's something that we can sustain. So I know we'd have smart people on that committee when we got there, and we'd have to do an analysis on that when the time came.
Okay, thank you very much.
May I use a rebuttal here?
Yes, you may.
To add on to that, like, no one is saying anyone's just going to throw up a building and let people live there. There are there's a roadmap to this. There are traffic studies. There is infrastructure studies. Our schools are not actually overcrowded. So I just want to put that out there too, that everything is good there. There is a natural fluctuation in population, class size to class size, year on year, and the schools are prepared for that. But what we do have in Westchester and in a lot of parts of New York State is a housing crisis, because we don't have anywhere for people to go, in Lower Westchester especially. So if there is a place where you can build additional housing that will create more stock for people, that is what is solving the prime issue, in addition to affordability. But literally, there's just nowhere for anybody to go. There's not enough places for them to live. The only way to fix that is to build.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, this next question starts with Scooter. What are your ideas to support the work of the first responders in the community?
Just about anything they want. They have always done a wonderful job. I can't say enough good things about them. I believe we recently upgraded the communications about 2 years ago, maybe, walkies and antennas. Our police department is at its top level, and having used the EMS services here, recently when my mother-in-law had a horrible accident, they too respond impeccably. So I say we just cooperate and do whatever we can with them. That being said, one of the things that, of course, would allow us to support them better is looking at ways to increase our tax revenue, not necessarily by housing, but making the kind of business environments that we see in the other two parts of our incorporated town. Eastchester has a thriving business district. Bronxville has a thriving business district. I've heard talk about all of these businesses that are open, but I walk around and I don't see them. I have seen businesses that have opened and closed. What I keep believing we can do is, and it just takes a little bit of humility, is we meet with Eastchester, we meet with Bronxville, we find out what the secret sauce is. We start to import those things into our planning.
Okay, thank you. Josh?
Thank you. We truly are blessed here in Tuckahoe to have the best police in the business. Actually, we have one of our police explorers keeping time for us right here. Shout out to Justin. So the Explorers program is really great too. That's one of the programs that they run. We collaborate with Chief Rhoda on almost everything. I think he and the mayor are attached by one of those cans and string lines to communicate with one another. So we are in constant communication with them about their needs. However, when budget time comes, again, everybody has to take a tough stance on things. We need to make sure that they're funded, that they are trained, and that we are hiring, and not just hiring, but being smart and diverse in our hiring practices. And that's one thing that I think that we have done very well here in our village. One of the things that we've worked with Chief Rhoda on is he is a master at getting things for free or very little cost or through grants, whether that's training, whether that's tech, you name it. So we have done a really good job with that collaboration, and I think we'll just continue to kind of pick up that ball and run with it.
Okay, thank you. Sarah?
I think pretty much everyone in this village can agree that our police department is second to none. They are incredibly engaged with our community, and we know within that world, we are able to work with them one-on-one to make sure that they're supported and have the things that they need. The additional supports come from the EMS and the fire, and that's where we have to come in and work with our partners in Eastchester and Bronxville to make sure that they are getting the support that they need from all of us, because we're not the only ones that utilize their services. Eastchester and Bronxville does as well. So that comes with partnering with the wider town and making sure that everyone is participating and putting in enough to make sure that our volunteer EMS, which I will say volunteer EMS, is being supported, as well as the fire department.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Josh, this question starts with you. What are your ideas to address recurring flooding issues in Tuckahoe, particularly in areas most affected by heavy rainfall and inadequate drainage?
That's a good question. It's something I think we've all touched on in some of our responses here this evening. We are making progress. I want to give a big shout out to Frank DeMarco and the DPW staff, because they work tirelessly. I think, Frank has a Doppler attached to the roof of his house, I think, and he panics when he sees a rainstorm. But we are working hard. We're doing everything we possibly can, because this does not addressing flood issues and flood mitigation does not happen in a vacuum. Some of the things that we have done are, expanded our catch basins. We have applied and received grants to help cover our drainage areas so that we're not getting more debris in there, which is also prohibiting proper drainage. And this is an ongoing process. What we don't want to be are some of the other cities that we see in the county who are investing $5, $6, $7, $8 million into this and still not mitigating the flood problem. So I understand that we are not fully there yet, but it is something that is on all of our minds all the time, and something that we'll continue to work with our partners in government, as well as the other municipalities to our north and south.
Okay, thank you. Sarah?
Contrary to what people might believe, this is not an issue that can get fixed overnight. It's been a long-term issue. It has been something that has been addressed ever since Sandy came through and we saw the flooding there. The Army Corps of Engineers was brought in to help with a plan to help mitigate some of the flooding in in and around the Yonkers area and around the river. We have with the DPW who built up the wall along Yonkers Ave, which has proven very effective in a lot of storms recently. We have the grant that bought the machine to make those catch basins that Josh was referring to, so that which are also proving very effective to keep all of those drains from getting clogged up. But we also have to remember, once again, this isn't a Tuckahoe specific issue. This is an intermunicipality issue. If we do something here, it's going to affect everybody downstream of us as well. So it has to be smart and it has to be thoughtful. We can't just make decisions based on one storm. We really have to think it through and make sure that while we're protecting the people of Tuckahoe, we're also not causing issues for others downstream of us as well.
Okay, thank you. Scooter?
Thanks for this. Drainage, yes, we've been talking about that. The water table is really key in the low-lying areas, such as Washington, Jefferson. If we start by looking at a lot of green alternatives, and I believe I brought this up 2 years ago, we can create rain gardens in our homes. We can start to plant trees like river birches and willows along the banks of the Bronx River. We can do things that naturally decrease the level of the water table. Those things do take time, but they will take root and they will create a sustainable, long-term change in the floodplain of our village. We can start there. Then we can look at the other things that have been discussed. But the other point that I feel we have to make is this is something that, while partnerships are important, this village has been at the forefront of a lot of grassroots green initiatives, and I think we really need to move forward with this. Again, because individual homes are bearing the brunt of this, and I think the village can partner with those homes to make each individual home more flood resistant. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. This question is going to start with you, Sarah. What are your ideas for attracting new businesses to Tuckahoe, and how would you support existing businesses?
Having accessibility and engagement within the business community is incredibly important. It's working with the business owners to see what we can do, but also understanding that, if a business is floundering, it's not necessarily up to the village to keep them going. Maybe we can guide them to resources like the Small Business Administration or grants that they might be able to apply for, things like that could help them. And at the end of the day, we can work very hard to bring businesses to the village, but we hear a lot about, do we need another nail salon or do we need another personal trainer? That's not really up to us to say. If someone wants to come here and open a business, what business that is isn't really up to us. We just do our best to support the people that are coming here. And the Chamber of Commerce also really needs to be involved in that as well. They are the business support for Eastchester and Tuckahoe, and we work very closely with them to make sure that they are connected and that these businesses are getting the support that they need.
Thank you. Thank you. Scooter?
So creating a healthy business environment's a tricky thing because the village can't regulate or determine what business is open. But what we can do is create an environment where people are going to patronize those businesses. We have a parking issue, and it's not just the meters. We have a shortage of parking. If people want to come to shop, where are they going to park? Now, if we have parking that's further away from shopping, then we need to address alternatives to get people to and from those shopping centers. Maybe electric scooters, maybe some kind of ride share, something that if people can't park where the shops are, we make it easier to get from the parking to the shops. We need to create more awareness of the businesses that we do have, either with our online presence. We can advertise or promote the opportunities on Facebook or any other online avenue as far as these are the businesses that are in Tuckahoe. come shop here. And then again, creating events like Growlers does, say, for Oktoberfest, something that creates an awareness and a buzz and community response. Those are the things that come to mind initially.
Okay, thank you. Josh?
Thank you. First and foremost, shop local. Everything you can do to shop local, do it. Most of us do it here, so anytime you can do that, shop local, and we continue to encourage people to do that. Despite the cost of parking, which was brought up earlier, there is a shortage of parking. And there's a shortage of parking because people are coming into the village to patronize our businesses. Good luck anytime trying to get a parking spot in Crestwood. It's just not going to happen because it is popping. It is hustling and bustling, and that is a great thing. We do also have the trolley that runs. You know, we could look at possibly extending those hours or extending the time of year that it's run. I know that that won't solve every problem, and there's also some staffing issues as far as that goes in hiring someone, or if that person wants to work more and whatever that looks like. But the trolley is certainly a way that a lot of our residents get to places throughout Tuckahoe and Eastchester. As was already mentioned, we continually work with our Chamber of Commerce. We also work with our Rotary Club to ensure that the businesses are getting the publicity that they need, not only to survive, but to thrive. Anytime that we can, we are creating different events to try to promote those businesses. Our deputy mayor several years ago created the Creepy Candy Crawl, which opens up Main Street to thousands upon thousands of people that are walking Main Street. And that is a great way for businesses throughout Tuckahoe to get exposure, not just the ones on Main Street.
Okay, thank you very much. This is the last question. And it begins with you, Scooter. If you become the village trustee, what would you hope your accomplishment would be after the 2 years? Your accomplishments.
Thank you for that. I would hope that I would be seen as an advocate for all of our residents, that I am someone who has high standards, integrity, and that I would bring all of those things into the way I interact with the people of the village so that we can be at our best. This village has a wonderful character. There's a sense of community that just needs to continue. I would hope that I would be seen as someone that can be counted on to fix problems, counted on to tell the truth, counted on to come through in difficult times. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Josh?
Thanks. So I have the good fortune of having served almost 3 years as a trustee already, and I'm going to continue to do the work that I already do. I will show up, I will advocate, I'll meet you for a cup of coffee. I will do everything that I can do to make you proud and happy that I am your trustee. I look forward, although the current mayor will be very missed, I look forward to the new mayor coming in, and I hope to get to work with her and to, put our heads together and see where, what we're going to do next. We have a great blueprint already drawn out, but, the new mayor is also going to have her own priorities. So I look forward to seeing what that looks like. I hope to continue to represent the residents of Tuckahoe.
Thank you. Sarah?
I think there are 3 priorities that I would have. Well, 2 years is really not a very long time to make a big impact. What I would hope I could come away with after 2 years is engagement, accessibility, and transparency. Those are the 3 biggest things that I think people need out of their local government. We want to make sure everyone is engaged and everyone has a voice, that we're accessible so that every single person's voice can be heard and every perspective can be taken into account. And we're very transparent about why we make the decisions that we do, because somebody may have said, but I came to you and I said, this, this, and this. And it's like, yeah, and we heard you, but this is why we had to not go that route. and identifying the needs of the residents here and helping to fill them, from the smallest, helping someone get connected with someone who can help them with Medicaid, to mitigating flood issues in their homes. I want to keep the charm and atmosphere that we all so much love about this village, but also while taking steps to move Tuckahoe forward into the future.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so now it's time for the closing statements, and we're going in the reverse order. So Josh, you have the opening closing statement. Okay, do you remember my instructions from earlier today? Go
Thanks
ahead.
again to everybody here and online. Serving as a trustee in Tuckahoe for the last 3 years has been an absolute honor and a privilege, and I don't take that lightly. You could have voted for anyone, but you voted for me, and I don't take that for granted. For the last 4 years, we have had a mayor who served as a beacon for smart, transparent, inclusive government, and I am proud to have served under her. She created a space where everyone, no matter your race, gender, religion, and yes, your political affiliation, could get involved in government on some level. She is a leader in so many ways and will be missed. But I'm looking forward to the next 2, 4, 6, 8 years of Mayor Kara Cronin, a brilliant woman and leader in her own right. A vote for Kara, Sarah, and Josh is a vote to keep Tuckahoe moving forward while still preserving the historical charm and characteristics that make our village a great place to live, retire, or raise a family. A phrase that I wear out is that leaders show up. We all have family obligations, deal with illnesses, and have to work several jobs to make ends meet, or God forbid, get ahead. That struggle is real. But through it all, leaders show up. When you head to the polls, if you haven't already, because early voting is going on until this weekend, Sunday, it's Sarah, Kara, and Josh, or vote row A all the way. Thank you.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Scooter?
Thank you all for your time. I know we all want what's best for the village we call home. The challenge is to discern what is truly best. The human heart is often led astray by what feels good, by what makes us look good to the world, being caring, compassionate, inclusive. And while all of these are laudable qualities in our day-to-day interactions, they can also cloud the judgment needed to make challenging decisions with a clear mind and eyes. As I've watched the village board's actions over the past 4 years, I've seen taxes skyrocket and other village expenses balloon while pressing needs go unaddressed. Union Place Park is still in disrepair. Drainage issues threaten our homes, traffic congestion is increasing, and any new housing will make it worse. Our non-tax revenues have not increased in the last 4 years, placing a greater burden on our taxpayers. Our downtown businesses can be better supported. Our board members must hold themselves to a standard that demonstrates respect for the citizens of Tuckahoe and for the offices they seek to hold. We need to fix the village ordinance to require board members to make Tuckahoe their primary residence. We must pursue honest, transparent government, and I will always pursue public scrutiny and participation in all the governing processes. In that spirit, I hope our new mayor would engage in an open process of requesting applications and reviewing the candidates before the village residents in order to fill the seat that she's about to vacate. We can't continue to do the same things. I will bring fresh eyes that examine and weigh the costs of every policy. Our village board seems to lack the sensibilities and grit to address the hard realities that our residents are living with. When elected, I will hold this board accountable to those realities and our villagers. I will be your advocate for common sense government. Thank you.
Thank you. Sarah?
Thank you again to everyone for coming out tonight. I'm running for village trustee because I believe that Tuckahoe deserves leaders who listen, who show up, and who act with both heart and purpose. From day one, my goal is to make our local government more inclusive, more accessible, and more engaged with everyone that it serves. Whether this is through community events, public forums, or just everyday conversations while we're walking around the village, I want every resident to feel that their voice matters and their perspective is valued. And as we look towards the future, We all know we want to preserve the charm, history, and close-knit character that makes Tuckahoe so special. But we also need to thoughtfully modernize our infrastructure and improve the services that keep our village running smoothly. We can strengthen what's already great about our community while making smart and forward-thinking updates that serve the next generation. I believe that progress and preservation can go hand in hand. I'm looking forward to working with Kara and Josh in the coming years. And we encourage you to please go out and vote for Kara, Sarah, and Josh, because our promise is to continue working to improve the quality of life for everyone in this village. We want to keep Tuckahoe warm, welcoming, and thriving, and a place that we are proud to call home. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. You can applaud them. Thanks to the Village of Tuckahoe for providing the venue and the videographers, and thank you to Justin and Rebecca, our expert timekeepers up here. This forum will be available for viewing on the Village of Tuckahoe website, I believe, and public access channel Verizon 26 and Optimum 312 and 1312. Did you say 1312? 1312. That's a really high number. When you change the channels like now, nobody does that anymore. Okay, that's the forum. Thank you very much,
Okay, baby.
everyone. It's not easy for all these candidates to do this, so thank them. Good night.